All right, call the meeting to order. Are we properly posted?
We were posted according to law.
Roll call.
President Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Harding.
Here.
Commissioner Hayes.
Here.
Commissioner Leaderhouse.
Here.
Commissioner Morath. Here. And Commissioner Olson is absent.
All right, we'll start with citizen participation per Village Resolution 2017-01. Anyone wishing to address the Plan Commission during citizen participation will be allowed 5 minutes. Your subject must specifically relate to matters under the jurisdiction of the Plan Commission, whether on the agenda or not. The Plan Commission should not engage in a discussion regarding comments because it was not part of the publicly noticed agenda. Upon conclusion of the citizen participation segment, members of the audience are not allowed further comment unless they're participating in a public hearing or specifically allowed by a majority vote of the Plan Commission due to involvement in an agenda item. Good? Okay. You guys made me read that whole thing. All right, we'll close citizen participation, move on to approval of minutes from March 9th.
Make a motion. I'll second that.
Questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 1 under miscellaneous business, site plan and architectural review for the addition of an overhead door on property located at 2600 Energy Drive bearing tax parcel number RA141900001, Ben Bordeaux American Manufacturing Group LLC applicant, application 2026-03. Warren?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the site plan of operation amendment / architectural review for, again, an overhead door, approximately 12 by 14 overhead door addition on the north elevation of the building. This would be just over from the existing overhead door, which I included a picture of in the supplement from FOTH. Overall, the proposal is pretty straightforward. I've included what the building looks like from the street, from Google Maps. We've got in your packets the floor plans and elevations from Mr. Bordeaux. The building itself has sufficient parking for his needs currently. The one item I would point out is that there is some outdoor storage in the rear of the parcel, so this would be on the east end of the building. There's some items in there that probably belong to the neighbor and some that were remnant from cleaning out the building that Mr. Bordeaux's in the process of getting rid of. I'm recommending those existing items being stored outdoors be removed within 90 days of the date of approval of the site plan amendment and architectural review by the Village of East Troy Plan Commission. So giving him 3 months essentially to work on that. That would be something that the village would follow up on after that time period elapsed. So that's in FOTH's staff review, page 4, it's condition number 3. And the rest of the conditions are pretty boilerplate to what the Plan Commission is accustomed to seeing. I'd be happy to help answer any questions if there's any of those from the Plan Commission.
I'm just wondering, I'm not sure what the garbage, or whatever you want to call it, is out there, but is 90 days going to be enough to remove all of it?
I did speak with the petitioner about that, and he felt that that would be a fair amount of time. Yes.
Okay.
Some of the stuff, again, is the neighbor's, so he'll ask the neighbor to remove those items. The things that are there that he's working on getting rid of are items that he wants to recycle, that he needs some time to help break down so that he can, piece them out the way that he wants to for recycling.
Other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the site plan amendment / architectural review request for Ben Bordeaux American Manufacturing Group LLC for the property located at 2600 Energy Drive, East Troy, Wisconsin, 53120, subject to the following conditions 1 through 11.
I second it. Oh, go ahead. It's-
I think Roger wins.
Really?
Any energetic questions or discussions from that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, two-lot certified survey map for the property located at State Highway 120 and Honey Creek Road, RXUP 00256, Village of East Troy applicant. We're asking ourselves to do this. So, Orin, you want to walk us through this one? I know what this one is. I don't know if the Plan Commission does.
We are asking ourselves permission to split a parcel. The rationale for this is to create two saleable parcels for economic development purposes for the village. The first lot would have an area of 45.61 acres, and Lot 2 would have an area of 38.45 acres. Both properties are currently farmed. They would both have access to State Trunk Highway 120. If you look at page 2 of both staff review, I get into some of the environmentally sensitive lands that are on the property. There's an unnamed stream in the northwest corner of the parcel and an associated isolated natural resource area with that. There's some areas that the state identifies as potential wetlands that would have to be looked at in the future for whoever's going to propose any development on these lands. So those would be on page 3. Again, that's coming from the DNR's Surface Water Data Viewer, which is their online GIS tool. There's, the comp plan shows some ecological areas on the north end, again, associated with that isolated natural resource area. We had the village engineer show some of these features on the actual certified survey map. So as you're looking through that document, if you look on page 2 and 3 of that document, some of those areas are identified. And then the last thing I didn't mention is that there's a shoreline zoning overlay that goes through the south end, so a bit of Lot 2 on the parcel. And so everything that we asked has been shown and identified on the CSM. Again, the access issue was looked at. One of the features of the CSM is that there's an access easement. So Lot 1 of the proposed CSM has an existing access easement that runs east-west from 120 over to the former landfill property on the west side. That's noted on the CSM as well. So any future purchaser would be made aware of that. There's no strange conditions other than number 1, which is, again, a field delineation of potential wetlands be required as part of any future development proposal on the site. That information will be passed along to whoever the purchaser of either of these properties might be in the future. So we're looking for a recommendation of approval to the board on this one.
I got a question, if that's okay. So the division of the land, or dividing the land, is that because there's interested in 2 parcels? Or is it just convenient, or?
As the village has talked to potential developers, we've not identified anybody who would want the whole 84 acres. So we've had other various interested parties, ongoing conversations, but not anything formal yet that we can bring forward. But it would be easier to go ahead and delineate 2 separate properties now, rather than waiting on one, an offer and then trying to scramble to do that.
And then the division of the acreage, that's just what seems best for that area?
According to the engineer, he followed the section line as far as where to split the parcels and where to draw that boundary. And also, he tried to make them somewhat as equal as he could with, again, following that. So trying to be clean from a surveying standpoint and have as close to equal lot sizes as he could.
Other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the certified survey map for the Village of East Troy on property N7605, Highway 120, East Troy, parcel number RXUP00256, subject to the 4 conditions.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, Sawyer Certified Survey Map in Extraterritorial Jurisdiction Area, ETJ, for the property located at W2159 Beulah Heights Road, Town of East Troy, PET 1800001, Carl Sawyer, applicant, Lori Smith, Land Tech Surveying LLC, agent, application 2026-04. And we do have the petitioner here if there are any questions.
Surface of the street, as far as the address, I don't know where Land Tech is on Church Street and here's registration.
Can you, Carl, can you just come up, state your name, that's okay, state your name and address, and if we had something wrong in the agenda, then, yeah, let's correct the record.
So Carl Sawyer, West 1540 Sawyer Lane. Just to correct the address, there is no address for this parcel. Currently is just the description, which is PET 1600006D1. It is it's located southeast of Sawyer Lane, so intersection ES and Sawyer Lane.
So this was brought to our attention by Carl. He already had approval from the town. He's looking to combine 2 parcels that he acquired from the DOT, correct? And the county essentially waived their review authority, since I believe that probably comes down to a technical matter with their definition of what is required for a CSM. In looking at the village's ordinances, we do require combining parcels like this to be done via CSM, and it still required our extraterritorial review authority. So that's why this is in front of the Plan Commission. Again, we're looking for a recommendation to the board. Spoke with the village engineer. He did not have any issues with what's being proposed, and Foth doesn't either. Normally, I would have done a staff review for this. By the time we got it from Carl and got the fee paid, I just threw it on the agenda since he was already as far as he was along in his process, and since it was just, again, an extraterritorial review.
Any questions for Carl? So this would be a recommendation to the village board on whether to approve? Yes, okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend to the village board approval of the CSM for parcel number PET 1600006.
Second.
Or for, is it 6 or?
It is 1600006D1.
Okay. So just if we could correct the agenda on that in the minutes. All right, there's a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, you're good? We'll, this will probably be what, on consent agenda on Monday? So you probably don't need to come in on Monday. No, you'll be good. Thanks, Carl. Item 4, Plan Commission review of new signage at Overlook Ridge located at 2775 and 2789 Main Street. Jordan Marshall, Marshall Sign applicant, application 2026-05. Warren.
You've probably noticed that they're pretty far along with the Overlook Ridge project. So they're at the point where they'd like to get their sign approved so they can get that up and start attracting folks to those units. So in your packets, you have the details from their sign consultant. The one thing that I point out in the staff review is that according to the code, you're only allowed to have one monument sign. They're proposing two. So they were proposing the main monument sign near the entrance, which is on, kind of it's Mon 2 on the site plan. And the Monument 1 would have been a smaller 12 square foot sign. You get one. So I had that conversation with the Jim over at the sign company today. He apologizes for not being able to attend the meeting. He said that he was okay with the conditions in full staff review. He looked it over, and he would like the approval to be able to move forward, subject to Foth's conditions. I have no issue with the proposed addressing on the building. Typically, addressing is an item that doesn't actually require any sign permit. They do have that addressing backlit. I think that's just going to help any emergency vehicles find those buildings even quicker. So I don't have any issue with that. And they did state that the lighting for the monument sign and the addressing would both meet the lighting requirements in the code, which I shared with them. So there's no issues there. So the monument sign that they will end up installing would be the 40 square foot monument sign. So it's 6 feet tall by 6 feet 8 inches wide. It's on a base. It's got the addresses under it as well. And it's the other smaller 12 square foot sign that they would end up having to forego. Any questions from the Plan Commission?
So is that bigger sign, is that code, that size?
It is, yep. I actually have the code language in the staff review. You're allowed 20 square feet on two sides, so you're allowed 40 square feet.
So it's not backlit, I guess they'll have some,
It's internally lit,
oh, it's internally lit, okay.
yeah. So the white lettering and the white image will be visible at night.
Oh, okay, that'll be transparent, okay, because I saw fabricated aluminum and I was like, well, then how is it backlit? Okay. And I can't remember, they're not gonna have any signage on the buildings themselves, are they?
No, just the addressing.
Okay. Any other questions?
So for the bigger sign, is the material they're using, is that up to code too?
Yes. You're supposed to use something that fits with the architecture of the building, which this does.
And that sign is actually the Monument 2 by the entrance then?
Yeah, correct.
And they're gonna keep it to the east side of the driveway there?
Yes.
Okay.
And it'll end up having to be 5 feet off of that lot line.
Any other questions? Or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the sign permit request for Jordan Marshall sign for the Overlook Ridge property located at 2775 and 2889 Main Street, East Troy, Wisconsin, 53120, subject to the following conditions, 1, 2, and 3.
All right, we have a second from John. Any questions or discussion on the motion?
Do we have to put in there somewhere about only one of the signs, specifying Mon 1 that we're approving?
Essentially, that's what Foth's
That was in
condition
there?
number 1 is intended to address. But if you'd like to add clarifying language, you can.
You want amend, do you want to make a motion to amend the motion?
I will, I will make a motion to amend the motion to clarify that the MON 1 sign is the only one approved, along with the address numbers on the building.
Okay. So we'll vote on the amendment. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now the amended motion. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. That is what we've got. Recommendations for future agenda. Any items that we have talked about? Just keep sending you more packets to review.
I don't know if this falls under planning commission, but I can't.
Hit- Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably code enforcement. But yeah, they're in a tough spot. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, and maybe we can talk to the building inspector too. I don't know if he's been by there. Other items, though, possibly for us. Good question. Oh, yes, I do want to have, I can't remember, Orin, if we talked about this, reviewing restrictions on businesses like vape shops and gun stores and where they're located.
We haven't, but I can certainly look into some best practices or examples from other communities and bring something back to the plan commission.
Yeah, the concern has been, there have been some discussions of possible, well, there was the vape shop, but it has since closed, but we had no restriction, and those are like right across the street from an elementary school. And so there was also at one point a possible discussion of a weapons dealer in that shopping complex. So just given that you're right across the street from a school, probably not the best place for a business like that. But if we had no restrictions on that, then it's kind of hard to tell a business owner no.
Would it be possible to get a list of things we have restrictions on for business-wise? Like, I think, like strip clubs are kind of restricted to certain things, and
Yeah, we do. I think that would be helpful to see, like, where we have, like, for highway business type or, small business zoning, what zoning restrictions are. I know adult establishments, there might be some for, because I think we had a similar conversation about liquor licenses and what's a school, right? Is a daycare by state statute a school, and it's not. And so I think just having that, to your point, having that listed out and for us just to kind of review would be helpful. And then do we want to add anything to it?
Sure.
I'll just add, I think some of that too is covered just by being restricted by zoning district as well. So this is, we're kind of talking about going a level up where it might fall in that zoning district, but we don't want it in proximity to an establishment.
I guess my point is that since we're opening this can up, might as well do it all the way.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is there's interest in what land uses would these specific uses fall into, and where are those allowed? So let's look at that. And then also, what are the standards for those land uses? What we can do is, if we don't feel like we agree with where these might end up being allowed, we can call them out as something separate and decide where we want to allow that, and if we want any specific standards to be associated with those land uses. And so that's what I'll look for is, again, best practices and examples from other comparable communities in the area that we can potentially draw from.
Yeah, in essence, what are controversial businesses, and not that we want to, totally infringe upon people's rights, but like there's a time and a place for certain things, and usually across the street from a school is not it. So, thank you for the reminder. Other items for Orrin? Okay. Our next meeting is May 11th at 6:30, and so I will move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.